Best of R / Tales from Retail episode 135. Subscribe for edit videos daily. Handicapped Accessible. This happened a few years ago, but we had two large unisex bathrooms with a long metal bar by the toilet for making it handicap accessible, along with lots of space for a wheelchair. Anyways, that day we didn't receive toilet paper for our restrooms and we had the last of it in the bathrooms. Now you know the kind of toilet paper dispensers that hold the large rolls. Normal toilet paper cannot fit. We contacted them and we would be receiving it in the morning. In the meantime, we bought rolls of toilet paper in there in case it ran out. A lady in a wheelchair and her husband came in and they went into the one restroom. She came out screaming at me because our bathroom almost made her fall and hurt herself. Someone had placed one roll on the handrail to use. Mind you, the handrail is about 3 feet long, and because someone sat one there, she had nowhere to hold onto the rail. She also yelled because we were discriminating against her and it was extremely unsanitary. I apologized and told her unfortunately we don't have access until morning to any more of the rolls of TP for the dispensers, but that we were trying to keep the restrooms open for customers in the meantime. She continued by telling me that she was going to call the health department to tell them what we did and get us in trouble along with other outlets to make us pay. It still baffles me. No one forced her to use our bathroom. And her finding the TP unsanitary for being sat out. Little does she know that several times we had men piss up into the dispenser. At least with it out you can see if it's clean or not. Thank you. Next. Cashback. Not free money. I work at a grocery store, so people getting cash back on a debit card is a regular occurrence. It's not a huge inconvenience because the POS system we use just handles it on the terminal for us. Enter a lady that clearly does not understand how this works. After ringing up her items and starting to bag them, she goes through the process on the terminal. The process for a debit card is something like this. Insert or tap your card. Enter your PIN. Do you want cash back? And if so, how much? Is the final amount okay? This should not be incredibly hard to understand, and if you want cash back you are given an opportunity to get it. This was lost upon this lady. Me. Here's your receipt. Have a nice day. Smiley retail face. Lady takes her receipt. Lady, is it too late to get cash back? Me externally, I'm sorry, it is too late. Me internally, what do you think cash back is? Do you think it's where we just give you money? How have you never encountered this before? She left with that usual grumble that you'd expect from an unhappy customer that can't understand what they did wrong. Thank you. Next. Why is your power out? Setting the scene. Certain chain of dollar store in a small no-cell service area. Important. Someone runs into the power transformer with their vehicle near the store, immediately cutting our power off. We have no backup generator. People leave. We close and lock the doors. Put up signs that say power outage. Up walks a late 60s early 70s man. Looks perturbed when the automatic doors don't open. Knocks on glass. Me. FT led. Hi sir, I'm sorry but we are closed right now due to a power outage. The man. Well, why is the power out? Me. I'm not quite sure. Something happened and the power just shut off with no warning. Man. Well, are you all still open? Me. No sir, we are closed due to the power outage. Man. Well damn, when are you going to be open again? Me. I'm not sure sir. Power company has not released anything with their estimated time of when it will be open. Man. Okay. Well, is it going to be any time soon that you'll open? Me. Yes sir, when the power turns back on. Man. This is ridiculous. Can I come in and shop then pay when the power comes back on? Me. I'm sorry sir but we do not know when the power is coming back on so we cannot let any customers in the store right now. Man. Can I just pay you in cash? You don't need the computers for that. Me. Actually sir, I still need to process the transaction so I need the register to have power in order to do that even if you pay cash. Man. I'm just trying to buy some effing eggs. Me. I am very sorry sir, there is nothing I can do. You are more than welcome to sit in your vehicle and wait in the parking lot for the power to come back on, but I do not know when that will be. Man. Well, I'm not waiting around forever if you don't know what's going on. This is all effing ridiculous. Me. I am very sorry sir, there is nothing I can do. For the safety of the store and merchandise I am going to have to ask you to step outside so that I may lock the doors. Man. First you refused to sell me anything and now you are kicking me out of the store. Where is your effing manager? Me, sir. I am the manager on duty. I can call my DM for you if you'd like, but she does not manage this specific store. Man, I don't care who it is, I just want you to call your boss now. Me, I'm sorry sir, but due to the power outage, our phones are not working and I do not have signal on my personal phone in this area. Man, how are you so retarded? Why are you being so uncooperative? Me, sir, I am now asking you to leave store property at this moment. If you do not leave the property I will be forced to call the police. Man, oh look at you, miss in charge. FCKU. And your stupid ass little cashier job. I'm never coming back here again. Me, closes and locks doors. Me, to my associate, go grab me a piece of paper and a pen so I can get his plates. My associate, you good? I very much appreciated them asking me if I was okay. Moral of the story. Store cashiers have zero control over power outages. Thank you. Next. Trying to spice up retail backfires. This was several years ago. I was working in a supermarket at the till/checkouts. This, as I'm sure many of you know, is a fairly dull task and chances are you're stuck there for hours. For context, I have a strong British accent. This was a fairly small shop and we mostly just get regulars buying their weekly shopping. One day I decided on a whim to try something new. When the next customer I didn't recognize came up to me to be served, I said, "Hello, welcome to supermarket. How are you today?" I said in the first accent that came to mind. It was Russian. I am not very good at this accent. The lady gave me an odd look before answering. She didn't have many items so it didn't take very long to finish the transaction, but there was enough for a small conversation to be necessary. "Thank you. Have a nice day," I said in a Russian accent that had by no means improved since my first attempt. The lady mumbled some thanks and left the shop. I decided that I would definitely not be trying that again. It was pretty awkward. Fast forward to tomorrow. I'm working my magic at the tills when the same lady comes in and buys some more things. I'm far too stubborn to admit I was faking it, so when she greets me I don a hopefully not too dissimilar accent to yesterday. "Hello again. How are you today?" "Yup, still a terrible attempt. What an idiot. I'm exhausted. My husband and I have just moved into the area and are very busy unpacking at the moment. I expect I'll be in here a lot more often as I live just around the corner." Anyway, long story short, I doubled down and carried on with the accent for the remainder of my time in that shop. I can only imagine the confusion of anyone standing behind her in the queue when I greet them in perfect English. "Thank you." Next. Crazy customer at a gas station. Before I start, this story actually is from my mom, so I don't have all the details, but it is really crazy and I feel it is too good not to share. So my mom works night shift at this gas station that also serves food and is a bit like a convenience store. Anyway, it was just another night like around 11:30 and a guy comes in and goes right to the bathroom. Later another person tells mom that he is literally peeing all over the bathroom. Who the hell would do that? And mom goes and kicks the guy out of the store. About an hour or so he comes back and does the same fucking thing. This time a co-worker goes in and before he can do anything the guy pulls him and locks the bathroom door. Now I'm not too sure what happened, but from what she says, once they got the door open they had been fighting or more. That guy was hitting the co-worker and in the end they had to call the police and the guy was arrested. Mom now has to go to court and give a testimony since she was a witness, and I'm just like so confused that someone would do that. Like, it's so crazy and stupid. Well, that was my story. I never thought I would have a story for this, and though this isn't a great story as like others that I've read, still needed to say something. For clarification, she works in a 24-hour gas station, so they were open late. Thank you. Next. Junior colleague got in trouble for handing laptop to customer. I worked in an electrical store during the Christmas peak. I worked as the cashier of the store and I was responsible for checking out small items and low value items. Any items with care packages attached would usually be handled by the other colleague on the shop floor. Therefore, I was surprised to see a lady walking up to the cash desk with an untagged laptop. That day I was working with a manager from a different store who was helping out. I asked him what should I do since laptops are not sold at the cash desk as there's lots of packages that can be upsold to the customer. He told me to ask the store manager. So I took the laptop from the lady and said I would need to ask my manager as laptops are not usually sold at the cash desk. The customer was understanding. I explained the situation to my manager and she said to process the sale. However, the manager followed me to the cash desk and asked the customer to point out the colleague who handed the laptop to the customer. The customer did so and the manager told me to process the sale. A few moments later I saw the manager in a group with other managers and junior manager. I heard her discussing with another manager. She walked straight to tile 7 with the laptop. The colleague at the door said that she thought that the customer had paid for the item. The managers, perhaps not wanting people to overhear internal store affairs, went to the back door. I also heard them discussing about reviewing the tapes. The store was quiet after that incident, so I gave the colleague a heads up that the manager isn't happy with him. The colleague wasn't in for the following weeks and when I asked him he said they're investigating him. When I later returned to the store months after the peak season, I saw him working again. So I guess they weren't too harsh on him. Thank you. Next. The biggest, most questionable return I ever saw at the department store. It was about 17 or 18 years ago, in a large department store anchor in a mall. I was working the blue jeans counter on the first floor of the store. It was the closest checkout to one of the big side entrances. A preteen kid of about 11 or 12 comes up to my register with 2 giant shopping bags in tow, the biggest bags our store makes, and they are bulging, and he's straining to carry the bags that are practically dragging behind him. The kid says he wants to return some stuff. Well, that's what we're here for. Well, we'd rather sell stuff, but we're also here to process returns. I'll do my job. This kid then starts throwing all the various items onto the counter, and they all have their tags with the little proof of purchase barcode we put on them at the time of purchase, so we could take them for return without a receipt. So they should all be valid returns. He piles up a lot of stuff on the counter for returns, from around the store. He was throwing down jeans, pants, socks, ties, shirts, sneakers, high heels, lingerie, pantyhose, dresses and skirts, pajamas, dress shirts, a couple of jackets, men's and boys' underwear. It was essentially an entire family's wardrobe, and it was all scanning as valid returns as everything had all the tags and proof of purchase. Since who sells every item is tracked with those barcodes, and we were all on a quota system that is tied to our rate of pay and performance evaluations. These returns would count against somebody who would likely be in trouble later for the huge hit their performance would take. Well, eventually this giant pile of clothing was finished tallying out, and it came several $1,000s worth of clothes to return. Now, before I pushed the button to finish the return, I had to ask a scripted question to the young customer. Do you want the return in the original tender? His eyes lit up like Christmas morning. Tender? Yep, I want tender. Okay, original tender it is. I push the button for that, and the register makes that loud grinding noise it makes while it prints out a receipt as I tell him that however many thousands of dollars was returned to the credit card that all this stuff was purchased on. He goes from giddy to whiny brat in 0.5 seconds flat. But I want cash. Give me cash. I want cash now. He actually started stomping the floor as he says it, starting on a temper tantrum more fit for a toddler. He keeps repeating that he wants those thousands in cold hard cash right now for the returns. Well, besides the fact that I have just a few hundred at the register at most, so I'd have to send him upstairs to the office for that much cash, even if he was going to get a cash return. The bigger problems were that you can't do a cash return for an item purchased on a credit card, and the biggest problem was that the return had just been completed and the items were store property again. I explained these points to the young man, who gets scared look on his face and very nervously asks for all the clothes back. I remind him that he has returned the clothes, but if he wants I will sell it all back to him for the several $1,000 sum. He gets a look of shock and horror on his face and makes a run for the exit, dashing out the side entrance of the store and into the parking lot. I glanced out the glass doors and saw the kid flat out sprinting across the parking lot and off into the distance. I always wondered, even almost 2 decades later, what was going on with that. Probably stolen or something, but I still scratch my head at the whole thing.